Today, I will be sharing my biggest mistakes and regrets of my dropshipping career so far. These mistakes are so big that I've literally lost out on millions of dollars. So I will share them with you so you don't have to do the same exact mistakes as I did. Number one is I was hiring left and right. I thought I need to outsource as many things as possible as quickly as possible so I can basically have passive income and chill and relax or whatever. The reality is this: before you understand generally how to do something, you're not allowed to outsource. If you are not capable of making a store, you shouldn't outsource because you're not going to be able to tell what is good and what is bad. If you didn't write customer support emails by yourself and you know how long it takes, you should not outsource it to anybody else because you're not going to know how long it should take for anybody. You're just going to take the thing they're doing as a standard and as normal. And everything they're doing is going to seem good on paper because you don't know how it should be in reality. So I started hiring virtual assistants left and right and got scammed like crazy. It was literally tens of thousands of dollars which I just burned by hiring wrong people in the customer support department, for example. I would personally say that there's only one scenario where you could maybe hire somebody without knowing how to do it by yourself. And it's if it's coming from an extremely trusted person. So for example, if you have some person in your network and they're doing dropshipping as well and they're doing really, really well with it 100%, and they have somebody who does all the stores for them and they tell you, look, this guy is great. Maybe you can hire them. That's the only scenario where I see that is possible. Anything else is not valid. And this actually brings me to my next point. There was a very long time period where I was doing dropshipping by myself without having anybody I know who is doing dropshipping as well. I didn't have any dropshipping network and I couldn't ask anybody real questions. It took so long for me to connect with people in the dropshipping space because I was literally not seeing that as something I need to do. I, for example, didn't think of randomly cold texting 50 successful dropshippers in a Facebook group and just telling them, hey, let's exchange, because I was already successful. You need to understand, when you actually start making money with dropshipping, it's very simple to connect with other people who also make money. Because if you have the numbers to back it up, they instantly see the value in you as well. If you're just starting out, you're only going to be able to connect with beginners, or if you're in some kind of community where there's advanced people who you can specifically ask, that's a different thing. Me personally, I gained an extremely good network through this personal brand and through this mentoring program. Because now I have so many students who are really, really successful and they're literally dropshipping millionaires who I can ask for advice, who I can ask for favors whenever I want to about whatever I want. Because they're thankful to me that I got them to the place where they're at, and every time I need something, I can just call a person and they're gonna have a solution for me. And this is something which is invaluable. Just this is already worth it for me to do this mentoring program, because there were so many cases where I didn't have a problem and I had no clue how to solve it, and I just asked the people from the program, hey, you already made like $3-4 million. Did you ever face this problem? Yes. This is how I solved it. And it's literally just so much easier than figuring out everything by myself. The next thing is not collecting invoices. This might be something which you've never heard of before. However, this is really important. You need to understand one thing. Whenever you buy something somewhere, they will be lazy with their invoices. In the dropshipping world, if you have suppliers, they're not going to send you an invoice just by themselves. You will have to ask them for the invoice. You will have to say, hey, can you send me the invoice? And they're going to say yes. However, in the beginning, you don't know that you need to do this. And I basically didn't care about any invoices anywhere, which literally cost me a month of my time, and two other people I was working with. We literally, all of the three of us, were doing 24 hours of my profit tracking, basically going through all my bank statements and all the micro payments which I was doing to AliExpress back then. It was a nightmare just because I didn't collect invoices instantly. And this is something which you need to do, because you're only going to face these problems years down the line. Whenever the tax issues come, that's going to be so much later. So then you just go back to the supplier and ask them, hey, can you send me the invoice? And in a lot of the cases, they're literally going to be out of business. They're gone. You cannot reach them. They are gone. That invoice is not existent anymore. And now you're basically screwed. So this is something which you need to implement right now. Also, talking about suppliers, I did another big mistake, which is asking them for samples as me. I was just basically asking them, hey, can you send me a sample of your product? I want to see how it is. And I saw it and it was good. And then I said, great. And then 2 weeks later, I have a bunch of complaints from my customers that the product is shit. And I didn't understand what's going on. And then I did something a little bit more sneaky, and I reordered from my own store and just told the supplier to fulfill all the orders. And one of those orders was me. So he sent it to me and he didn't know that it's me. So you sent me the product without knowing that it's me, because I've also put another address from a friend. So you sent it to him. And then I saw the product quality was shit. It was terrible. And this is something which happens if you just choose a random supplier from AliExpress who you don't know, who you don't trust, who you don't have any connections with. And a lot of them do not care about you. That's it. The next mistake was one of the biggest ones, and that was me relaxing after finding winning products. Every time I found a winner, I didn't keep testing. I behaved differently when seeing success. Every single time I saw, all right, this product is doing really well, all the other testing is gone now. I'm not testing anymore, I can chill. I finally got where I wanted to be. When in reality, this is not how the world works, and you need to keep testing because you need to diversify. You cannot put all eggs in one basket. You need to have multiple stores running at the same time. One product can always go down. This is dropshipping, and something can go to shit always. So you need to understand everything has to have backups. You cannot have this black box of using only one Facebook account, using only one product, using only one supplier, not having any backup contacts. You cannot do that, because if that one thing is gone, your entire business is gone. And you need to be acting preemptively after starting making money. If you're not making money, just focus on making money. Don't think about the rest. But after you start seeing numbers, now you need to think very, very different. Now you need to think, all right, which problems can I face? Let's look at the entire funnel. Let's look at everything. What are my weak points? And how will I address after shit goes down? Like if one thing goes to shit, what is my next step? And then you're gonna see those steps you can already implement. And then when something goes down, you just switch. And then you have the next thing. This is something I've noticed a couple of years ago. After you start to see success, that's the first time you need to think ahead, because in the beginning, you cannot worry about problems which are not your problems. You have a Facebook account, do it. Don't think about you getting blocked because you're not blocked. Focus on making the sales. After you start making the sales, now you can think, all right, which measurements do I have to do to actually make sure that everything, every single thing, PayPal accounts, Stripe account, Facebook account, virtual assistant. You need to think as far as what happens if I'm at the hospital for 3 months. What's gonna happen to my business then? Will I just go to zero? Or do I have a person who's gonna be able to maintain my ads? You need to think ahead. And this is actually something I've also seen Andrew Tate saying very, very recently, where he's basically comparing it to chess. And every single time you do a move, you obviously think ahead. You're thinking, how can your opponent now counter your move? So you need to think, all right, what can fuck me up? And then basically save your pieces by doing that. And here it's the exact same thing. The next thing was I truly didn't have an understanding for money in a lot of senses. For example, I didn't get averages. I didn't understand that if I test 10 products and every test is gonna cost me $200, that's gonna cost me $2,000. And one winning product is worth way, way more than $2,000, so I need to test as many products as possible. This is something I didn't understand and didn't think about. The other thing was also that I had a lot of opportunity to get higher level mentoring programs. Don't get me wrong, I did have a mentor. However, he only got me from beginner to intermediate. Basically, I did like 18K in a full year, and then I started to work with him. It took me around 3 months, and after that I made 70K in 1 month. So that was amazing, and I was intermediate, but I was not advanced. Even though I made 70K that month, and the next month was over 100K, and the month after that was even higher, I was still not advanced because I didn't have any backup structures, because I didn't have a bunch of products which are running at the same time, because also I didn't truly understand how to make everything consistent. It was working for a few months, but I also had a big crash. And only after that, I truly started to understand what it takes to actually become advanced, which is very different than from beginner to intermediate. Because to get from intermediate to advanced is a very, very different skill. And unfortunately, for the longest time, I only had a mentor who got me from beginner to intermediate. At an advanced level, I started to get mentors again. And this is something you truly have to understand. Every single time you can get advice from a person who's somewhere where you want to be, you need to take that advice. This is not a question about money, because I was also doing this mistake of not understanding money. I remember this thought. I had like a call with some mentor guy, and I was basically thinking, all right, he's gonna charge me like 7K for I don't know what. Like I'm gonna get some advice for him. He's gonna explain to me what to do, whatever. But it's 7K. That's a lot of money. I should probably not do that. I was already making way over 20K pure profit every single month, but I was thinking 7K, that's a lot. And I didn't get involved with a couple of programs which I'm really regretting, because me right now, if I would look over my situation back in the day, I would instantly see my problems. And the same thing would probably be the case for the other guys which I wanted to buy the programs for. And I didn't. And sometimes it's very easy to assess what the problem is if you've already been there. And it's extremely difficult to see a problem which is in front of your eyes if you don't see that as a legit problem. You think your problem is the store, but in reality you have a shit product. For example, you think your product is the problem, but in reality everything is perfect, but your Facebook account is fucked. You don't see that. But if you ask an advanced person and they look over everything and they tell you, look, you did like 5 tests and everything was on point, I feel like your Facebook account is fucked. You're like, wait, I just have to change it and retest it and it's gonna work? Yes, literally yes. We've been seeing this over and over again. You test exactly same things from 2 different Facebook accounts, you're gonna have 2 results. Weird, right? However, you need to calculate that and you need to think ahead and plan on things like that. And this is also the second reason why I'm doing the program, because I know myself that it is very simple for me to identify problems which most of you guys have. I just see a problem and I tell you, look, there's the issue, fix that, and that's your priority. And this is what this program is about. In my program, you're constantly gonna have the opportunity to ask me questions and also ask my top students questions. Literally all those guys from the case studies you see on this channel, you're gonna be able to have access to them and you're gonna be able to ask them questions. And if you ask yourself, why would they connect with me? I'm literally paying them for their time, so they also have calls with beginner students and it's a fair exchange of value. Because obviously for this advanced guy from the case study, he doesn't really need to connect with some beginner who's just starting out. And that's why I'm paying them, and that's the reason why we're doing it like this. So if you truly want to build a strong network of dropshipping, click the link below, sign up for a call with me personally, we're gonna find out if it's a good fit, and if yes, we're gonna get started. And also keep in mind one thing, I'm not doing this because of scarcity or whatever, we're actually selective with the people we work with. If you go through all my comments on YouTube, you're gonna see left and right, hey, I had a call with you scheduled, hey, I had a call with you scheduled, and it was canceled. Yes, because your application was shit. So actually put in the time, make a proper application, have the calls, be polite to the people who are gonna talk to you first. If they assess that you actually are a good fit potentially, you're gonna have the call with me, and then we're gonna have a call and find out if it truly works out. If you want that, click the link below and I will talk to you there.